This is your daily dose of all things royal.
Buenas noches, Cali. Buenas noches, Colombia. In New York City.
That clip never gets old. It's probably my top 10 cringe for Meghan and Harry. I don't know why he does that, but next location, what's up, North Korea? Like he's so stupid. It really is never ending with these two. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Today's video is going to be a little bit of this and a little bit of that, kicking off with this morning's breaking news regarding Harry's visa, which is the judge came back with a decision, and that decision on 8/15 was sealed, ex parte order, and whatever document that was created is available to authorized persons, not the public. So I'm not really sure what this means, aside from the public does not have access to whatever document has been produced. So looking at this, apparently one party in an ex parte order is getting to be authorized to see this information. Is that Heritage Foundation? I'm not sure. Maybe, maybe not. So we'll just have to wait on that. But the thing that I want to point out here is that something is definitely up, meaning Harry's on an A1 visa when he shouldn't be, and whatever's in his file cannot be disclosed for diplomatic reasons. As we all know, word on the street is that Harry has an A1 visa. Not only have we seen this in the press, but also I'm putting up this post that came from I Am a Rock, I Am ... on X, where they say, I have some insider news to share about Harry. Those who have followed me since the beginning know that I am big into politics. I spend a great deal of my spare time at political fundraising. I try my best not to share that side of my life and my politics on this channel. Anyway, I got some information from a very reliable source who is well known in Washington about Harry's visa. Since Harry's paperwork was released to a judge, information has leaked out. It is the talk in the political circles. Get ready, America, because Harry is here on an A1 visa, which means he is considered head of state. He is given all of the privileges given to a dignitary. We, as American taxpayers, are paying for these privileges, which are also passed on to Rachel and the two invisible kids. This is why the Biden administration fought so hard to keep Harry's files sealed. The Biden administration has covered up the expenses towards Harry's privileges for being declared as head of state. I asked if King Charles was aware. I was told that they couldn't confirm, but they would assure that he and the British government more than likely have to be aware of it. It's not more than likely, it's definitely aware of it. And that's a thing that should burn both the United States and the UK at this moment in knowing that. Now, I did a video 2 months ago that not many people paid attention to, but in that video, I did discuss the requirements for an A1 visa. In this video, I'll put the link below if you want to watch the whole thing. I highly recommend it if you want to understand a little bit better as to what an A1 visa can do for someone in the United States. I did point out that Harry needed to submit documents. Of those documents, a diplomatic note issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also a diplomatic note issued by the government of the foreign country that Harry was coming from, which would be the UK. And in this case, when Harry left in 2020, it would have had to have been the UK government and the blessing of the crown, whether it be the Queen or Prince Charles at the time, they had to have submitted something for Harry. So whatever note that was submitted definitely had Harry coming over here representing the UK government and the crown. So the next logical question is who has been approving the extensions for his application in order to remain on this status? Who from the UK government and or the crown been supporting this? Harry always talks about the mission. Exactly what mission is Harry here in the United States on behalf of the crown? Many of you know that I have now activated an X account, and I appreciate all the folks who have been writing kind and thoughtful things under my posts regarding the censorship industrial complex, CCing our government in hopes that somebody pays attention to really understand why this is so important that the public knows about Harry's visa. So one of my new followers had posted this in one of the threads, and I thought to raise this because I have heard information that corroborates with this information that was written, and I thought it would be important to share. Now, keep in mind, I do not have solid evidence to say that, yes, this is fact. This is just information that I'm hearing that is corroborating with what is being said here. So my follower writes, the contention on the visa is not really about the drug use. That was just the cover argument they chose to go along with in this visa case. This is what they decided to tell the public so it wouldn't trigger mob rule justice. What is inside those law enforcement records is what this whole thing has been about. Worse than admitting to abuse multiple Schedule I class narcotics, you ask? Far worse. If you look at the past transcripts of the court case from around 4 months ago, you'll find some telling clues. I do know more, but I've been attacked on this platform for giving more details. It's also hard to get proof when people have been gagged. This is a lot more serious than lying on an immigration form about hitting the Colombian disco dust. This is about unlawful behavior he's been engaged in while residing in the U.S. Someone could leak those law enforcement records. He was on an A1 visa. It may have been revoked since this case started. However, what I've read from another source is that it's still active. This does not bode well for the King or the UK Foreign Office. Harry doesn't qualify for this class of visa. Why does he have it? U.S. and British citizens will not be happy about this. This person goes on to say, validating what I said earlier in this video, that this class of visa also has to be renewed on a yearly basis, so I would have understood if the Queen allowed this visa for the first year back in 2020. However, we are in 2024. How do they explain this? Did the Queen allow it, or did Charles? And this person writes, as I said, it has to be renewed on a yearly basis, which means, unfortunately, yes to both the late Queen and then when Charles became king. Make what you want of this. You guys know what I have been covering. A lot of the things that I have been discussing, particularly around them coming over here in 2020 and what they have been doing and meddling with, as well as the censorship piece and the Biden administration and what Meghan has been doing here. You all know that. You don't need me to rehash all of that. The videos are there. The one thing, though, that I want to point out is, yes, we all knew that they were coming here and the Queen was giving them a year to figure it out, to see if this was the life that they wanted outside the institution. We all understood that. And that was for them to sort out. But the public was told that the HRH titles were going to be going into abeyance because they were not representing the Crown or working on behalf of the Crown. Am I wrong in that assessment when this all went down with Megxit? So riddle me this, folks. Why is it that Harry ended up keeping his A1 status? What were in those notes that justified him being seen as a head of state or classified as a head of state here in the United States? That had to have come from the foreign ministry as well as the Crown, indicating Harry's going to be over here to do work on behalf of the Crown. So what was that work? Now, I have stated this a few times over now, that what we were told about Megxit by the media and Harry and Meghan, I don't believe is truthful. I don't believe that the dates that are in that visa application match what they were telling the world. I don't believe that the Queen and Charles and the royal family were blindsided. I do believe that they had some idea as to what this couple were planning on doing when they got to the United States. We shouldn't be ignoring the fact that Harry and Meghan interfered with the 2020 election. It was called out by our congressman writing a letter to the palace. The palace decided to ignore it. You have to ask the question, why? It's not wrong to ask the question, was that the business that Harry and Meghan were supposed to be doing on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen in the United States in 2020 when they left and came over here? I don't believe for 1 second that we were told the full truth around the real story of Megxit and how they got here. What we are being forced into, and we're seeing this with all Western countries, is transitioning into this socialist communist state that these globalists want. King Charles is very much a part of it. Say what you want, but you don't just all of a sudden stop being a part of the global world reset and the World Economic Forum just because you have turned king. Meghan and Harry are just beyond dangerous now, and this needs to stop. And this is why the American public deserve to know what's in those visa documents and why this man is over here doing what he's doing. Now, for those that are interested, I did a video 2 months ago giving a possible reason as to why we most likely won't see this visa. And part of me thinks if, let's say, Harry is involved with all this unlawful stuff, allegedly, then could it be that Harry is under investigation? That could be another reason for why information's not being released, possibly. So there's a lot going on here, and I think Americans need to start making noise, especially with our government, and say that the American public demands to know what this man is doing over here in the United States, especially if it is illegal, then he needs to be brought to justice, in my humble opinion. I almost wonder if the reason why he wants to go home so bad is not because he misses or cares for anybody. It's because probably he's getting found out. And whatever it is that he has done is now catching up to him. Just my opinion. But regardless, whatever it is, the American people have the right to know because this dude has been meddling with our civil liberties. So continue to keep making noise because what they want to see happen between the US and the UK is for this to quietly go away. And we cannot allow that because of the damage that these two have caused already. Enough is enough. Let me just say, for all my American viewers and the rest of the world too, Harry's right. History is repeating itself, but not in the way that he wants the world to believe that his wife is going to end up like his mum. No, we're going down a very dark path. And if you don't believe me, then check out what people are saying online and recognize that Meghan is very much a part of this and supportive of it.
So as I'm on the internet reading articles, it looks like the media is falling in line, and they're all saying the same thing about the Harris Walz campaign. It's full of joy. Joy around Kamala, joy around Tim Walz, joy around the campaign rallies. But is that true? Of course not. It's the media gaslighting.
The Democrats have adopted the word joy, like you're joyful, joy to the world, when it comes to Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. Now, check this out, of the media telling us that the defining feature, the defining characteristic of Kamala Harris's presidential campaign is joy and joyfulness.
Yesterday, what you saw is joy.
And it was the power of joy.
You know what I love more than anything? The joy. You can't underestimate the power of joy in this campaign. Don't underestimate the joy factor of this. They're going to bring the joy.
People were also just feeling relieved and telling me about how happy they were to see some joy back in the party.
And what we saw last night was this joy and this positivity. You have this happy, joyful, positive ticket.
The most remarkable demonstration of support, enthusiasm, joy.
This idea of joy.
Joy.
Being joyful is part of the American identity.
There is joy in the future. There is joy in having your boss be a black woman. There is joy in what is coming.
What we're hearing from this vice president, future president, is a message of freedom and joy.
Looking at this as my chapter of joy, inspiring, joyful, and full. And so I think that is part of the chapter for me of joy, and see other people live their lives through that same joyful spirit.
She stole the joy thing from another very famous politician, and his name was Adolf Hitler. In November of 1933, the Nazi Party coined the phrase Kraft durch Freude, which meant strength through joy. In fact, they even incorporated a car into that and invented the Volkswagen to make the Germans feel better about the atrocities being committed by the Nazi Party. Don't believe me? Look it up. It's true.
Where there's a will, there's a sway, especially if it's the will to get fit and keep fit. The Strength Through Joy celebrations are taking place at Hamburg. Strength Through Joy is the slogan, so laugh and grow fit.
But as Winston Churchill said in 1948, those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. It's very clear. I'm an American, you're an American, and the American public is smarter than to fall for a gaslighting trick by the mainstream media and the Harris Walls campaign, which literally has no substance. There is no joy there.
Never let anyone take your joy from you. I call myself a joyful warrior. Right? Never let anyone take your joy from you. You do what you gotta do. And isn't that a wonderful way to live? To know you have purpose.
Doesn't necessarily need to be a large plan, it just needs to be an intention.
I call myself a joyful warrior.
I was such a fraud.